Heila's going to hit record. Thank you, Heila. Seamless. Right. Well, without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Sam Simpson, who is a speech and language therapist, counsellor, and also an experienced supervisor. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Ria, for such a warm welcome. And thank you for coming, everyone, and finding out a little bit more about the mentoring program. Like Ria, I hold this project close to my heart. I think there is something beautiful about community building, and adolescence is such a turbulent time that I think being able to connect young people who stammer with other people who stammer who are a little bit further on in their life trajectory and their professional careers, in order for them to get some timely support in that transition, I think is just life-giving. So I'm delighted that we are offering another program this coming year. So I'm going to just quickly share my slide deck here. Hopefully everyone can see that. So here we are, the information session for you as potential mentors. So yeah, we're here. What is mentoring? Well, this is a simple definition, really, but obviously what we're looking at doing is bringing together young people who stammer, aged between 18 and 25, with somebody who is older and has more lived experience of stammering and the world of work. So it's very much a professional relationship, where the more experienced person, the mentor, is going to support and assist the mentee in developing specific skills and knowledge that is going to enhance their professional and personal growth. So obviously the age of the mentees, 18 to 25, means they could be making a number of different transitions. They may be making the transition from school into employment, or from school into education, from school, and that may be university, or that may be an apprenticeship. They may be in work and looking to either seek a promotion within work or looking for another job. So they're coming at different places, I suppose, in their lives and in those trajectories or transitions between education and employment. So yeah, continuing what it is, what that means then, I suppose, is that the mentees are going to be coming at different points in their lives with different goals. So it may be, as I said, that they are looking for support to navigate the application process around apprenticeships or university. It may be that they are looking to navigate the application process from university or an apprenticeship into work. Or they may already be in employment and looking for support around further job applications or conversations around promotion. So they're going to come with very, very different objectives. And I suppose what they're looking for is some support in that transition. So to have conversations with people who are maybe in the same industry or area of interest, and where they can get some specific coaching, or some specific training. So maybe looking at how they fill out their CVs, for example, or how they approach interviews, how they can talk about themselves in an interview situation, or how they can look at preparing a presentation for a job interview. So it can be very practical, and it can also be, I suppose, talking through different experiences, or maybe particular fears they have about a situation, and helping them reframe that, or get some advice from you if you have similar experiences. It may be that they're looking just to hear how you have navigated your career in order to see what is possible. You know, part of the program is helping young people not set limits to what they can achieve professionally. And so being able to have access to conversations about your career choices, and to maybe, gain inspiration from that, will hopefully enable them to really fulfill their aspirations and motivate them to aim high. But also maybe give them some directions and signpost, you'll be able to signpost to maybe different organizations or opportunities that they can then take advantage of to support that transition. So hopefully that gives a sense of the breadth and the depth of the mentoring and what it might involve. In terms of the design of the program, we kicked off last week with the information event for the mentees. And applications for mentors will open from today. So you have until the end of August to apply for the program. And to fill out that application and just share a little bit about your own careers and what you're hoping to gain from taking part in the program. Then after the application deadline, or maybe actually before that, from May to August, we will be organising interviews. So they're conversations with Ria and a mentor who has previously been on the programme. Just, I mean, interview sounds a bit formal. It's an opportunity to get to know you, to again hear a bit more about your work contexts, hear a bit more about your relationship with your stammering and what you are hoping to offer a mentee. And then following all of the interviews, we look to do a very, very bespoke matching process. So we're really looking to match mentees and mentors, maybe in relation to a particular field of work or area of work. Or maybe, a particular life experience that is relevant. So in the way that we ask you what you're hoping to gain from the program, we ask the mentees that, who would be their ideal mentor, and we try and match as best we can. And actually, we've got a pretty good track record, I would say, Ria. And thankfully, because, always we're very fortunate in the number of mentors that apply, we can be very targeted in terms of maybe industry knowledge or industry experience, which is lovely. So that matching process will take place throughout September, and by the end of September, then we will be informing everyone as to whether they have a place on the programme. And they will then progress to a training event on the 24th of October, which is half a day for the mentors and half a day for the mentees, with a crossover period at lunchtime where we introduce the mentors to the mentees for the first time. And that kicks off the 6 months of the programme. It will run then from the 24th of October until the 29th of April 2026. And over that time, the expectation as mentors is that you offer a minimum of 6 mentoring sessions. So that's 1 a month. And you will have the option to meet up in midway, so on the 28th of January, in order to just reflect on how everything is going together with other mentors, and to share experiences and successes with each other. Alongside your mentoring sessions with your mentee, I offer supervision. So I will speak a little bit more about that, but you will have the opportunity to meet with me at regular intervals to get some support in relation to the mentoring you're offering. So just to, I suppose, speak to who you may come in contact with over the course of that 6 months. Ria, obviously, from the introduction, Ria is very involved in recruiting the mentors and the mentees, in the matching process, and the original training event in October. Ria is then the point of contact for the mentees over the course of the programme. In terms of my role, I'm here today, in terms of the information, and then I get involved again at the matching, but the point at which we're matching. I'm involved in the training in October, and as I said earlier, I meet with you, the mentors, on a regular basis throughout the 6 months. So I become your point of contact and have the mentor oversight. And in terms of the numbers that we're hoping to recruit for this year's programme, we're looking for 15 mentees and 15 mentors. One of the, I think, beautiful things about the programme is that we really, really prioritise safeguarding and really want to ensure quality of experience, both as mentees and mentors. So, one of the ways that we do that is that the referral sources for both mentees and mentors are known to us. There is a really rigorous application process in terms of the form filling and in terms of the interview process. And we also ask all mentors to provide references and have a DBS check. We then undergo a really careful matching process. The course, the program itself is delivered online. This does free us up geographically. It means we can match mentors and mentees from all over the country. But also, there is a protective factor in working online. And as I said, we've got supervision for the mentors, which is another way of ensuring the quality of the mentoring that is offered. So supervision, I've mentioned it a few times. What is it? You may or may not be familiar with the concept of supervision depending on your different professions. It's mandated for speech and language therapists and for counsellors. And it's really an opportunity to focus on ourselves in the context of our work. So in relation to the mentoring program, it's a chance for you, the mentor, to bring aspects of your mentoring work experiences to a session with me in order to reflect on how it has been going and to learn from that experience, to learn from a session you've had and to plan and prepare for a session that you're about to have. So, the content of the supervision session is very much led by you. And it may be that, I don't know, common themes that come up ahead of that first session is, how do I structure that first session? How do I, what is it important for us to focus on in the first mentoring session, and to help you plan and prepare and maybe think about it. Or if the mentee brings a particular issue, I don't know if they're struggling with something at university or at work, and you're wondering if you can do some signposting, it's an opportunity maybe to just talk about the kind of signposting you were thinking and how you might present that to your mentee in an invitational way, so that you're not seen to be directing them or leading them, for example. So those are two examples that I can think of that I've been reflecting on in supervision with the mentors recently. A little bit more though, the functions of supervision are threefold really. We often talk about the formative, normative and restorative functions. So the formative function it's really for me to be able to support you in developing your skill, knowledge and understanding of mentoring. And it may be you're bringing lots of experience. Some of the mentors on the current program have years of experience of mentoring, but not specifically in relation to mentoring other people who stammer. Or some of them actually do have that skill set as well. But we've also got a number of mentors this year who it was their first experience of mentoring. So it's a chance really for them to develop their skill and knowledge and understanding of their role and the process. So the function, for this part of supervision is very much educational, with a view to developing your competence as a mentor. The normative function really relates to the shared responsibility to monitor the standards and ethical practice of the mentor. So it comes back to the safeguarding, isn't it, really? So checking in with you regularly and supporting you in the mentoring you're offering helps with quality control. It really helps to support your ethical practice as a mentor. So there may be dilemmas around, how frequently you meet or how long you meet for, or, how you navigate contact out of sessions, ways of just supporting those conversations with your mentee. And then importantly, the restorative function of supervision. It gives you a space to talk about and explore how you're feeling about mentoring. Particularly, there can be a lot of anxiety, the weight of the responsibility, I think often hits people ahead of that first session. And, also your response to the mentee's situations. I think mentors are often quite surprised at how meeting with somebody who is 18 to 25 means they time travel, that you go back and revisit some of those experiences maybe when you were 18 and 25, and some of those can be very affirming and some of those I think can be very painful. So it is also an opportunity for you to talk about any resonances or how maybe what your mentee is bringing touches your own life and your own history. And hopefully having a space, to be able to talk about that and reflect on that means you can go back into the mentoring feeling, more refreshed and more affirmed, and it helps support your confidence and creativity as a mentor. So I've got a couple of testimonials here, from people just reflecting on supervision. So, the first one is someone who was a bit apprehensive about their abilities to mentor another person and how supervision was really key at helping them feel comfortable, and being able to then enter those mentoring sessions feeling more confident and more focused, which they really think supported the development of the relationship with their mentee. Um, and someone else saying actually the frequency of supervision was spot on. So we can meet once a month, or once every couple of months. It really depends on the level of support that you feel you would like, and there can be flexibility over the 6-month program. But as this person identifies, there was much more responsibility that, having been chosen to help someone who was me 30 years ago. So again, speaking to the resonance really of working with someone that can touch into your own lived experience. And then, yeah, others were talking about how they really feel the supervision helped the quality of their interaction with their mentee. So to really, in this case, I was encouraging them to really meet their mentee where they are and accompany them, rather, that walking alongside rather than steering or guiding. And the next one is talking about how the conversations and supervision really enabled subtle changes and indications that the relationship was helpful. It enabled them to read what the mentee was finding helpful. And I think that really bolstered confidence and renewed the energy to look back and open up conversations around feedback. So that gives you a flavour of supervision. I am hoping now that we have Andy in the room. Actually, I'm not. Yes, we do. I can see you,
Hey,
Andy.
Sam.
There we go. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you.
So what we are going to do now is have a chance to hear from supervisors on the current programme.
hmm
And to hear firsthand, I suppose, Andy, a little bit about the experience, right from applying through to
Yeah.
the interview process, if that's okay, and then how it's been. I mean, we're approaching the 6th month, aren't we?
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Very crazy. But
So handing over to Andy.
yeah, of course. Um, hey guys. As Sam said, I'm currently on the mentorship program. We're in month 5. It finishes next month. So yeah, I guess a bit about myself. Very little mentoring experience. I mean, I guess in my job. Um, I've kind of worked with kind of junior people. I wouldn't say on a kind of mentorship basis, but I have worked quite closely with younger people. Then I did the Michael Palin, had some speech therapy at the Michael Palin Centre in London back in 2018 and really enjoyed the experience. Hadn't done speech therapy since I was maybe 11 and 12, and I didn't really take to it back then. It was a little bit scary, a little bit daunting, but this speech therapy was great, and I really got on with my speech therapist. And then she asked me if I'd be interested in taking part in a summer course, which was talking to people who had just finished college and were entering the workplace and applying for university. So I did that. It was a summer course, did a few kind of check-ins with people, and I just thought it was great. I just thought it was really, really good. I'm sure Sam's touched on it. You've kind of almost experienced what every young person as a stammerer is or slash will experience. So it was really good to just bring my first-hand experience to that and just kind of hear where people are at, just kind of hear their stories and try and impart as much wisdom as possible without flooding them with um, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I did that back in 20, I think it was the summer of 2019. Really enjoyed it. I did it again in 2020. And then yeah, I've just always been interested in it. And I did a City Lit course as well on the back of the Michael Palin. And the this particular mentorship came through via an email through one of the speech therapists at City Lit, who I still speak to, and I just thought it sounded great. And I think the fact that they partnered you up with someone in your field, I just think was, just like a kind of added experience and added connection. So that definitely helped. I'm trying to think of the first session, Sam. I can't. It's been 5 months, but yeah, it seems like forever ago. But yeah, the first session was great. Well, I think prior to that, I had a chat with Ria, got a kind of flavor for it, and yeah, I was super kind of invested. Had a chat with Stephen, who was on the course last year, and yeah, I was just up for it, 100% up for it, and then I was kind of selected, and yet then yeah, the kind of first course was it was great getting to meet everyone. We're all from all over the country, all in different fields, different sort of like work experience, different sort of life experience. But yeah, everyone got on great, and I think the kind of really good thing about it is like as you touched upon in the previous slide that I've just seen, not there was a few people that hadn't had mentoring experience, and I think there's a big I think I particularly put a big kind of expectation on myself. Okay, what kind of mentor would I like to be? What kind of targets can I set with my mentee, and where can we go from there? I think I was a very wanting to like stage it out, but then it just become apparent that when I did have my first session with my mentee, it was just it flowed so great and we got on so well, and she was in the same field as me. She was in a job working for an advertising agency, a very small agency down in the down south, and she wasn't really enjoying it. So she kind of came to this a kind of real interesting kind of time. She was 25. She'd worked for this agency for 2 years, but worked from Northern Ireland, where she's based, and just didn't like the kind of culture. A few people had said stuff about her speech and the stammer. They weren't letting her get in on client presentations, and it was just it's interesting actually. The more and more she told me about the kind of place she was at, the more I spoke with Sam, and I was like, "Is this sounds like a really toxic place?" And it sort of was. So just before Christmas, she started interviewing for other advertising agencies in Northern Ireland, where she's from. And because I've worked in advertising for 15 years now, I kind of helped her out a bit. I checked out her portfolio, although that's not speech related. I probably shouldn't say that. And yeah, I just kind of gave her tips when it came to, she had a 4 round interview process, which is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Like I work freelance, so I don't really have to interview. I just like show the kind of work that I've done and I get taken in. Whereas this was for a permanent job. So um, start of December, she had a 1st round interview, and yeah, we were just keeping in touch as much as possible. And I guess I should touch on how often we were in touch. We decided to do our sessions fortnightly, so every 2 weeks. It just seemed to kind of work with our schedules. It seemed to work with the point where she was at. She was interviewing. She just wanted as much help as possible, as many tips as possible. She passed that, and it's so it it was great because with every interview she passed, the confidence was flowing. So much so that we didn't text. We would send like voice recordings into our sort of WhatsApps, which I don't do that. I don't like talking on the phone, which I'm sure is no big surprise. And I thought, look, if she can push herself, I can push myself as well. So we started recording voice notes almost daily. I was just asking her whether she'd heard back from the interview, whether she was successful, whether she'd not, and she was telling me if she'd not heard back yet, then she has, and she's through to the next round, and it just spiraled from there. And I kind of feel like I was really fortunate, but I don't think I was kind of too lucky. I just feel like the caliber of mentees, although I've not met sort of 9 of them from speaking to the other mentors, these people are really sort of driven and really, in some cases, open about their stammer and really want to push themselves. And I think that's what's made this whole experience just such an enjoyable experience. Like certainly in my early 20s, I was very much trying to hide the fact that I stammered, whereas now I don't know if it's a culture thing. There seems to be a lot more kind of acceptance around stammering, talking about stammering. So much so, my mentee did get this job, and she had a really great final round interview with the co-founder, and she has asked him a question in the final interview, which I was like spellbounded by. She asked him and the other people who were interviewing her, there was four people there, which is quite daunting. She said, um, how will my stammer fit in with this company? How will I be treated? Which is just shows the kind of level of kind of young people we're talking about. Just really switched on, really engaged, really want to push them. Well, I mean, they kind of wouldn't have signed up to the mentorship in the first place unless they wanted to push themselves. So they kind of fielded that question, and she was successful. She got the job. She quit her job just after Christmas, and she started a new job on the 6th of January. And she's just been flying high. The kind of culture's great. She's enjoying it. Certainly, our sessions are not a chore whatsoever. Me talking to her, it's an absolute joy to see a kind of text from her. It's a joy to see how far she's come in 5 months. And yeah, we've kind of been speaking about it. Obviously, we finish on the April the 2nd, I think is the final sort of the final catch up. But me and her definitely want to stay in touch because I've got a lot from it. She's got a lot from it. I think I've got far more from it than what she has, but she tells me that that's not true. We both got kind of equal amounts from it, but it's been an absolute joy and an absolute pleasure. I've I've definitely not been paid to say this by Sam or anybody, so don't worry. It's just been a really rewarding time, and I definitely urge you, if you are seriously thinking about it, to like sign up, and it will blow your mind how amazing these young people are. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's kind of I feel like I've spoken for quite a long time there, but yeah, if anyone's got any questions, then yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Andy. Well, thank you for talking with such passion about your experience and your process. Yeah, and to be able to celebrate the change, isn't it really? Yeah, a very inspiring story, as you say, Colin. Um, I think if I remember rightly, Ria, we are now looking to field questions. Is that right?
We are. We do have one other mentor on the call.
Of course, we do have Chris here. I don't know, Chris, whether you were wanting to say something today or there's anything you'd like to add to what Andy has been sharing.
Yeah, I can do like won't take as much time as Andy did,
Sorry
but
about that.
No, it's just
yeah,
if you've got anything you'd like to add, Chris, as obviously you are also one of the mentors this year.
absolutely, yeah. So but I thought what was really good about why I volunteered for the mentor scheme is a lot of what being said before. Like I really would have liked had mentor when I was the same age as my mentee, like in his early 20, just outside of university, that sort of time, because it was a really um difficult time, and especially if you've just been in university, like in schooling a lot. Like I fell from school to college to university, so I've never really been out in the big wide world and got a job because I didn't really know what I wanted to do, and there was also like a bit of fear there, sort of thing. So that's why I got involved in it. And what I took into my meetings with my mentee is I could see he lacked a lot of confidence because he's at that stage in his life where like he had to like get a, he he was looking for jobs. He was in the same industry as I was, is and he really needed some guidance. So our mentorship was a lot around a kind of getting him prepared for the job market. Like we went through his CV, we went through our applications, I pointed him in the right direction because he was hunting for roles that he was never going to get, if I was being honest with him. And also building on his confidence, building on the attitude that his Stammer is just the way he speaks, and there's nothing to really to hold him back and stuff, and like just the way that he speaks, and like so, and also pointed him, signposted him stammering organizations as well as this and 50 million voices and stammerer and a stammering support group. I wasn't there for therapy, which I think is really key because you're not a therapist. I'm not a trained therapist. I'm just someone who's got experience of having a stammer for lifelong stammering. And yeah, and the only thing that I mentioned about what I'm quite I'm quite a person who likes to meet people like small and often as opposed to long periods. So I arrange with my mentee to meet him every fortnight for half an hour as opposed to like a month going past, and just to try and keep on top of it. I even give him goals. Give him goals to achieve, like goals, like say little goals to achieve, say certain things, and I think he's really benefited from that as well. But I haven't got any particularly great feedback from him because he's not like sort of a very overt person. But I'm like I'm sure I'm sure he benefited from the experience. But what I would say as a mentor, you really benefit from the experience of engaging with younger people for a start, like kind of being a bit more in touch with what's going on. And sort of I think when you pass on your experience, it's like it's kind of like it's like looking in the mirror, isn't it? And you're sort of talking to yourself about all the experiences that you've had in your life and the challenges that you've overcome and stuff like that. And I'm still here, so there you go. But yeah, I'd definitely 100% be an advocate for this process. And then the also the support that I've had from Stam and Ria has been really good as well. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Chris. Yeah, thank you. Well, let's open the floor now, really, for any questions from anyone about the program. They may be directed to Andy and to Chris in terms of the experience of being mentors, or they may be for Ria or I. So yeah, a chance. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. Obviously, I don't have any experience in being a mentor. But I work in an environment whereby I have worked with young people and helped to actually train them. So therefore, I was just wondering, when we do the actual application, do you have like any tips on how I can prepare? Because this is not something which is completely is new to me, and I do want to give it like my best shot, because it's something that I am passionate about, and I do have a personal reason as to why I want to be a mentor. I have a son who's 12 now. He has a stammer, so I do envisage that, one day he will be looking for a similar thing. So therefore, I feel like, I do want to be able to give something to another child, because I know that in 6 years' time, I'll be relying on, another person being able to do this for my son.
I mean, that's a wonderful, isn't it? It's a very genuine reason to want to be taking part in terms of sort of building the community, isn't it? And passing your experience on and building it up in preparation for your son as he comes through. The application process then, when you don't have experience of mentoring, I don't know, Andy, maybe or Chris, whether there's something you can say around how you approached applying. I mean, Andy, you said you hadn't got any prior mentoring experience.
Yeah, I think mine was maybe more, I'd done a little bit of kind of speech therapy led kind of mentoring. I wouldn't even call it mentoring. I was on a kind of, like a program where I would just kind of help out on the odd session. So I don't think I had any kind of formal training, but And then on the other side, I'd work with young people through my job. So it just seemed like, the speech side of things and the working with young people, I kind of had those things, but not necessarily too much experience of doing it together. But I can't remember doing the application, but I definitely think a lot of the onus was on the field that the person is working in. As Chris touched upon, like, like I've certainly helped my mentee in interviews and looking at our work, and it sounds like Chris has done like checked CVs and applications. So I guess it was kind of that connections come very much in the kind of industry that we're in and the industry that our kind of mentees are either trying to get into or are already in.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that kind of helps. Chris, like, yeah, it's just basically I'd done little bits and bobs, but to kind of get on the course, it didn't seem that the kind of training had to be there was so much focus on it. However, that said, certainly like working with Sam, and I remember the kind of opening session, there was a lot of talk about kind of what kind of mentor you would see yourself being or what you would like to be. And I do remember I took a load of screen grabs and sort of notes about there was like a scale on who you would, what kind of mentoring style you would like to be, and you definitely find out quite a lot about that. But I think a lot of it is you just fall into it. Like, well, I can't speak for everyone, but mine was just there was just felt an instant connection, and we just fell into a place where we were just really open. And I think, as Chris said before, like I certainly went into it not saying I'm a speech therapist or teaching them speech therapy techniques, not at all. I was just there to kind of nudge her in the sort of right direction and just be there, just be a kind of like sounding board, basically. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your kind of question or not. But I guess the sessions with Sam definitely do help and kind of help you to know, okay, during my next session with my mentee, I now know what we can touch upon, how to make, especially in the early sessions. Sam helped me a lot with steering the kind of conversation because I was very conscious that I was talking too much, which is what's happening now. But Sam definitely helped me with just how to kind of like broach subjects and how to leave space for my kind of mentee to talk, which really helped actually because I found out so much more from her. Okay, I'm going to stop talking now.
Mhm.
Chris, please take over.
I'll take over. Yeah, so I can't remember applying as well for this year, but I do remember applying a few years ago and I got turned down. So that's left a mental scar on me, obviously. But I think you I think it's I think there's normally more mentors than mentees, isn't there? So that was the reason I got told why I didn't get it. But I've done mentoring at work in my workplace, so not on this topic, but on actual like on the role I do there and stuff. And but like the mentoring process is like it can be applied to anything, I guess. I've always had mentors in my lifetime, and I still have like there's still people I look up to now at work, and I'm in my early 50s, and there's still people like kind of I go for guidance and stuff. And then I also mentor younger people, younger managers and stuff in my uh, career. And I think my experience of a good mentor is someone who lets you speak and you lead the sessions rather than you leading them, because
Mhm.
that's more coaching, isn't it, than mentoring? Like if you lead them to do something, you're coaching them, whilst if they're wanting like to seek I advice of where to go on the pathways, it's more them leading the sessions. So I would just let them lead the session, ask them what they want out of this, and ask them what they want to achieve in this short time period, because it's over before like you even think. So yeah, so that's what I would do, and then it's a lot easier than that, and then you can give them a bit of advice so about in when you've been in that scenario as well. So
Okay.
I mean,
Thank you.
hopefully, from that. No, you're very welcome. Thank you, Chris and Andy. I mean, hopefully you can see that there are huge variations in the amount of experience people are bringing in terms of mentoring, and not, not having mentored before certainly wouldn't exclude you from being a mentor on the program. We have the introductory session where we really look at what mentoring is, and because we have the supervision alongside that is supporting you in that role, then you can learn on the job if you like. And I think, in the interview, it's just really speaking to your work experience, speaking to your experience of stammering, speaking to your experience of working with young people, if you have other roles in relation to young people that you think might be relevant, and really speaking to what you hope to bring and gain from an offer on the programme. Ria, I can see, I think you've put your hand up. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Thanks, Sam. It was just a quick thing just to say that obviously the application process is online, and that it really is about what you're bringing in terms of your industry, and for us to understand your work experience and why you want to be a mentor. It's not, it's not about having years of experience. It's about why and the passion and enthusiasm. But the other thing I wanted to say on the back of what Sam said is that with the interview, the whole purpose of that is for myself and the former mentor who has the conversation with you, is to just understand a little bit more about you, because that is what underpins the matching process. So Sam talked about that bespoke process that we go through, and we match on lots of different criteria. So there's the industry and the goals and the interest of the mentee, but there's also things about how personalities, how you feel about your stammer, your own journey, how you talk about how you've navigated that, and actually it's a painstaking process, but it's what underpins the success of the program. So actually, the more you can share with us, whether it's having experience or not of mentoring, the better. But apply, because we just want to get to know you, and then we can match you effectively for the benefit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's lovely. And I just want to pick up on one other thing that Chris, you said around having applied before and not being accepted on the program. I think you're absolutely right. We do typically have a lot more applications from mentors than we do mentees. And so, if we're not, sometimes there are some great mentors that apply, but their industry experience does not align with any of the mentees. And so sometimes I suppose a bit like Chris, you don't get onto the program 1 year and then another year. There is that fit, and you do. So we've got time. I think we've got just under 10 minutes. Yeah, any other questions anyone would like to ask Andy or Chris? Robert?
Yeah, that's just a quick question. Yeah. So are mentors and mentees only placed under the criteria of employment?
No.
Well, do you mean in terms of matching them in terms of professional industry?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? So that will be that will be a key factor, because the mentees are wanting to gain knowledge from somebody in the industry that they're wanting to work in or are working in. So that's one factor. But as Ria said, there may be other factors that are going to be part of that. It may be to do with shared lived experience of stammering, personality. It may be to do with other things you're doing in your life outside of work that are really relevant to that mentee and what they do outside of work, for example. So there are multiple criteria, but industry experience is one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
From my kind of chats with my mentee, it is very much about work. I don't think we veered too much off work, to be honest. I mean, obviously we talk about having a stammer, but because she's in the same industry as me, doing the same job as me, be it 10 years junior, a lot of it is I literally know to the like exactly what she's experiencing in terms of going to like a client, having to do client presentations, or like, it's more, yeah. So in my experience, it's been very much work focused. Like, we'll kind of talk about the kind of odd thing here and there, but it is, I mean, it might be different because she did get this kind of brand new job and she's been settling in. But a lot of the questions she asks me are about like work in particular because she kind of knows that I'm in a job, albeit 10 years senior than her. But I certainly have a lot of not just experience, like the exact same kind of like scenarios that she's experiencing. So I think for her in particular, her questions are about how to talk through ideas or what's the best way to do this or what's the best way to present. Shall I have notes? Like, how do you do it? And I explain my technique, and she's kind of took on a little bit of what kind of I do in preparation. So, yeah, to kind of answer your question, Robert, like with mine, it's very much about work. I guess Chris, is yours kind of similar too?
Yeah, definitely. I would say on a percentage basis, about 80 to 85% of it is about work. We touch on his how many things he can do, build up all his confidence. And I kind of know a little bit about his personal life, but we haven't got much in common because I'm double his age, so I don't, I just shrug when he says he's doing stuff, and I don't really know what it is.
I mean, it obviously does depend, Robert. I'm just thinking on the age of your mentee. So we have had mentees who are maybe like in sixth form and looking to transition into uni, and they have a uni place. Or I'm trying to think of other mentees we've had who are in their first year at uni. And so actually what they've really wanted is support. I think of the person who was was really support navigating the newness of university, navigating meeting new people, navigating introductions, navigating some of the demands of kind of giving presentations at work. So actually that was less, the industry was less of an issue there. It was much more about fit and experience of meeting people, those kind of transitions and supporting young people. So it just really varies according to mentee and mentor and where they're at in their lives and the transition they're navigating and what they're wanting to get from the program. I think we've got about 4 more minutes. I don't know if there's any other questions at this point. Robert's got one more.
Okay. No, I'd just like to say thank you so much to Andy and Chris. It was fascinating to hear their experiences and I appreciate what they say about they get more than they give. Very, very much sounds as quite similar to my experience in like the self-help community, the stammering self-help communities, running a self-help group. I know that I get more than I actually give. So yeah, I completely understand by what they both say. Yeah.
Well, thank you for kind of highlighting that, Rob, really, and yeah, that there is lots to gain in that giving. Mark, I don't know if
it's just on a personal and a professional level. I have no experience really of an industry where advertising or sorting out your CV and all that sort of business. Yeah. All I've got is life experiences and more of self-help, the same as yourself, Rob, and how I've navigated life then really. So if we were lucky enough, to get selected, would we have advice on tap that if we were asked about CVs or interviews, could we come to somebody, ask for that advice, and then relay that then to the mentee?
Yeah, I mean, the supervision hopefully would be a process where you'd be able to get some support for that. But again, it comes back to the matching process, isn't it? If if we had a mentee who was really wanting to look at applying for jobs and wanted support around CVs and interview practice, then you probably wouldn't be the best fit.
No, definitely not.
But if we had someone like the first year at uni that is like, I'm in uni, I'm really wanting to have a space to talk about my stammering, talk about how I'm feeling about stammering, talk about meeting new people, talk about disclosing, talk about navigating introductions, navigating unhelpful responses, or talking to teachers and lecturers, then you could well have a whole host of really relevant experience. So I would really encourage you to apply, encourage you just to put all of your work and life experience on that application and to come along and meet with Ria. And another mentor. And then there is an element of luck, because it is about who the mentees are who apply and what they're looking for. And then we just look at the best fit.
Really, this is part of my personal journey, really.
Yeah.
So that's the way I'm looking at it, is to try and expand my own envelope. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm mindful of the time. I think Robert has just had to go and has waved, but I think we're probably up to time. I don't know, Ria, whether you want to just have the final closing words.
Of course, and I will keep it brief because, as Rob has very aptly reminded us, it is Pancake Day. So I hope that you've got your frying pans at the ready. I'm looking forward to mine. I only remembered this morning. But just to say that the applications go live tomorrow, so you can find out more on our website. It's all there. I've also put the email address in the chat, but I cannot underscore enough that it is about your journey. In your everyone has their own unique journey, and you bring so much with you, and whether you have formal experience mentoring or you don't, we want to hear from you, but then we will match you as is appropriate, and we never reject, Chris. We never reject. It's more just about those matchings, whether they're appropriate on that cohort. But as I say, get in touch if there is anything else. And it has just been a joy listening to Andy and Chris at the end of their journey, but also to potentially be meeting some of our new applicants this year, and you will get to know me a bit more if you do apply, I'm afraid, because I'll be the one interviewing you. But thank you very much, everyone, for coming along, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you for your interest.
Thanks, guys.
Hopefully work with you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
See you, Chris.
Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you so much, Andy and Chris. There we go.
Have you got a spare 5 minutes, Sam? I just wanted to ask you about the 15 Million Voices interviews.
Can you? I can give you a couple of minutes. I don't know, Ria, whether you're okay to just leave us in here. Is that all right? Or
I will make so Hila, I think, can stop recording and make you a host, I think.
Yeah,
and
please.
then you'll be.
I need to cancel these calls to get the recording.
You need
I think, Vilma, we just need to move into the waiting room, if that's okay.
That's okay.
Bye-bye, Wilma.
Bye-bye, Wilma.
Because if I get the recording, I need to end the meeting to get the recording.
Oh, okay. We can't then, Chris, because actually Hila needs to end. I mean, unless it's something really brief, I don't know that we can do now. I just don't want to hold Hila and
It's just all it is, right? Is that obviously I went to the presentation.